I'm Shirley from Two Birds London, and today we're going to be talking about how to use your hotfix wand to get started applying crystals and rhinestones to your garments, costumes and accessories. So let's take a look. So we've got our hotfix tool here and it's plugged in, and so this metal tip is now warming up. I've got it in my holder just to make sure that it's not touching the fabric or my work surface. And I've also got some hotfix stones here. So these ones are SS20 ABs, and the grey on the back is the glue. So that's what we're going to be melting with the hotfix wand. So just make sure when you're buying crystals, you've got the right type of crystals. You need to have the ones that are hotfix. Flatbacks will not work with this method. So what I would do is I would use my rhinestone picking tool. I use a crystal katana, but there are other ones out there. And I would just lift up my stone, place it wherever I want. So in this instance, I've got it right here. I'd maybe put 2 or 3 down at a time, but that's completely up to you. Sometimes it's easier to do it one at a time so that you don't knock the stones, but you can lay them out like this. And you would then take your wand, hold it in whichever hand you are. So I'm right-handed, so this is the most comfortable way for me to hold it, but if you're left-handed, obviously hold it the other way around. And then you're literally going to hold the wand directly over the top of the stone, and you want the tip here to actually be on top of the crystal, and you're going to hold it there for about, well, we'll start with about 20 seconds, but different stones take different amounts of time to warm up. And you need to make sure that you hold the wand long enough so that the whole crystal heats and melts the glue on the back. And this, for me, is one of the downsides of this method, is that it is slower than glue. It does take time for the glue to melt. The advantage of it is that a lot of people feel that this is a safer method for them to get started with, so they're not worried about dropping glue or getting glue in the wrong place and ruining the costume. If, for instance, you decide you don't want these 2 crystals just here, you can still move them. You're not committed to where they are, so we could change it to be in a line, and you can adjust the spacing. And obviously the glue has not begun to melt because I haven't held the wand over these 2 crystals yet, and so you still have the freedom to place them wherever you are. So there are pros and cons to this method, as there are to the gluing method, and it's really what you feel most comfortable with. This stone that I heated is now stuck to the fabric, so you can see that it's not moving even though I'm kind of rubbing my finger over it. That means that the glue has melted on the back and it is now adhered to the fabric correctly. So I can just repeat this process with the next stone. So if I want it there, just hold the wand over the stone until the glue's melted. And you will feel it changes slightly. So at the moment I can still feel, when I'm wiggling the wand slightly, I can feel that the stone is moving a tiny bit on top of the fabric, but all of a sudden you'll feel the glue melt and it will stop moving around on the fabric. So I can tell that this one's started now to melt, and if I just hold the wand over it for a bit longer, it will completely melt and attach that rhinestone to the fabric correctly. But it is a little bit time consuming to do this. So just pop the wand back in the holder there. So just using the other end of my katana here, you can just see that I can poke at these crystals and they're not moving. And that's the most important thing. You want to make sure that these crystals are correctly fixed. Now, one thing that I found quite helpful was making sure that the surface that you're working on isn't too cold. So when I first used this method, I was working on my work surface, my granite work surface, and obviously granite is a stone, and so it retains a cool temperature, and that actually works against the glue melting. So normally I either have a piece of board underneath my fabric, or some cardboard or something that will buffer the cool temperature of my work surface, and that just means that the glue melts more quickly, and you're not fighting against the heat from the wand versus the cold temperature of your work surface. So just be mindful of that. That was something that I had to find out by trial and error. The other thing that I find useful with hotfix method is, let's say I wanted to create a little design, so I can experiment with how I want it laid out by just moving the stones around until I'm happy. But let's say that I wanted this design, so I'm going to create a little kind of diamond pattern. So I've got my diamond pattern down here. I sometimes use this, which I talked about last time in my essential tools video, and this is rhinestone transfer tape. It peels off the backing like this, and it's a little bit like giant sellotape. So on one side it's smooth and on the other side it's sticky. And what I use it for is I will lay it down over my design that I've laid out. Just touch your finger over the top to make sure all the crystals are stuck, and it means that you can actually lift the whole design, and then you can move this around. So let's say you laid it out over here, but you decided that actually you wanted to attach it up here, so it's going to be part of this line of stones here. And you can literally just stick it down, it holds the stones in place, and you can then apply the heat directly through this tape. And that means that the tape protects your clothing, your costume or garment from heat. So you don't want to get this hot wand on the actual fabric, because it could burn a hole, and the tape protects it slightly from that. But it doesn't stop the heat being transferred through onto the rhinestone, so it will still melt the back of the rhinestone as it would do without the tape. It just allows you to hold the rhinestones in one place. So then when you think that you've held it over long enough so that the glue's melted, you can peel the tape back, and you can see this third stone that I added here has now stuck, but the other ones that I haven't tried yet are still obviously on the transfer tape. You can also use a home iron to do this. You need to make sure that it's not on the steam setting, and also a flat iron rather than a steam iron with dimples in the bottom will work better, because you'll get an even pressure across your crystals. But it is possible to do larger designs using this method with the tape and a home iron. It's also just as possible to do it with your wand. It's just a little bit more time consuming. So if we hold the wand over this crystal on top, then hopefully we can see this stone actually melt and stick to the fabric as well. And there you go. So this stone, as part of the design, has now stuck as well. And you just keep going with that until you've got all the stones stuck. Then you peel the tape off, and you've got your design exactly where you want it. What I find particularly good about this tape is that you can reposition it. So you can create a design and lift that design, and then move it around your costume, whether you want it on the neckline, or you want to try it rotated by 90 degrees, or you want to try it on the waistline, for example. It's a really good way of trying the design out in different places on your costume. And because the tape is clear, you can see the stones through, so you can actually see the garment through as well, and you'll be able to try it out in different positions until you're happy with the way it looks. This tape can be reused as well, so it's quite cost effective. It's not very expensive, but you can use it multiple times as well. If you're going to save it to use again, then you just need to attach it back to the backing plastic, which is this white piece, and then that will then be good until you're ready to use it. You can also lay out your designs and then save them like this until you're ready to attach them to your costumes. So if you don't have time to do the whole design and fix it to your costume, you can create the design and then save it, and then another day you can actually add that to your costume. So that's the basics of how to apply rhinestones and crystals to your costumes or garments using a hotfix wand. I hope that's been helpful for you, and I've really enjoyed going over the basics with you. If you've got any questions or comments, then leave them in the comments box below. I will look at them all and get back to you with any answers to questions as quickly as I can. And if you haven't already, then check out some of the other videos that I've recorded, giving you lots of tips and tricks about how to apply rhinestones to your costumes, garments or accessories. There will be more coming, so if there's any topic that you would particularly like me to cover, or maybe a burning question that you're stuck on, then again, just comment below and I will cover that in a future video. Thanks guys, thanks for watching, bye!